Kloe Solomon reporting live from TNN News, and our breaking news is a Titan being held captive due to his past. Some wanted to hurl Kronos from his throne so Zeus could rule instead, but then others wanted the reverse to ensure that Zeus would never rule the gods. According to Olympus Daily, Prometheus himself stated, "Thanks to my advice, the gloomy pit of Tartarus now hides old Kronos and his allies. I helped Zeus, the tyrant of the gods. Now he repays me with this foul torment. It is a sickness which somehow comes with every tyranny, to place no trust in friends." Now, let's get into the story. In the remote mountains of Scythia, a Titan remains held captive by his former friend, the ruler of heaven and son of Kronos, Zeus. The Titan is none other than Prometheus. Zeus's and Prometheus's friendship seemed to take a turn for the worse when Prometheus allegedly began stealing from the gods and gave humans fire and blind hope. As a result, Zeus sent him to a remote location to be chained up in isolation for eternal suffering. We have reached Scythia at the most distant limits of our world, remote and inaccessible. Hephaestus, now it is duty to carry out those orders you received from Father Zeus to nail this troublemaker firmly down against these high, steep cliffs, shackling him in adamantine chains that will not break. For he in secret stole your pride and joy and handed it to men, the sacred fire, which fosters all of the arts. For such a crime, he must pay retribution to the gods, so he will learn to bear the rule of Zeus and end that love he has for humankind.
Power and force. Where you two are concerned, what Zeus has commanded us has now been done. There are no further obstacles to face. I am not bold enough to use sheer force against a kindred god and nail him down here on this freezing rock. But nonetheless, I must steel myself to finish off our work, for it is dangerous to disregard the words of Zeus. High-minded son of our wise counselor, goddess Themis, against my will and yours, I must bind you with chains of brass, which no one can remove off this cliff face. Far from our mortal men, or glimpse of human shape and sun's hot rays will scorch and age your youthful flesh.
Well, every task is burdensome, except to rule the gods. No one is truly free except for Zeus.
I know. This work is proof enough of that. I cannot deny it.
Strike harder. Make sure he is securely fixed with nothing slack. He is an expert at devising ways to wriggle out of hopeless situations. Now you can flaunt your arrogance up here by stealing honors given to the gods and offering them to creatures of a day. Are mortal beings strong enough to ease burden of your pain? The gods were wrong to give that name, Prometheus, to you. Someone who thinks ahead. For now you need a real Prometheus to help you out and find a way to free you from these chains.
O you heavenly skies and swift-winged winds, you river springs, you countless smiling waves on ocean seas, and earth, you mother of all, and you as well, the all-seeing circle of the celestial sun, I summon you to see what I, a god, am suffering at the hands of gods. Look here and witness how I am being worn down with torments which I will undergo for countless years. This is the kind of shameful punishment the new ruler of the gods imposed on me. Alas, alas, I groan under the pain of present torments and those yet to come. Who will deliver me from such harsh pain? I gave a gift to mortal beings. I searched out and stole the source of fire concealed in phenol stalks, and that taught men the use of all the arts and gave them ways to make amazing things. Here I am, an ill-fated god. You see an enemy of Zeus, shackled in chains, hated by all those gods who spend their time in Zeus's court. They think my love for men is too excessive. Attention, mortal being. I have noticed you are in despair. I have decided to give you the most wonderful gift of all, fire. And that's not all. Also, the amazing gift of blind hope. Hope! Yay! You're welcome, my dear mortal being. See you at another time.
A slight change of plans. We've had some new guests arrive on the scene.
We are your friends. What god is so hard-hearted he would find such scene enjoyable? Who would not feel compassion for those suffering of yours, apart from Zeus, who in his angry mood has set his rigid mind inflexibly on conquering the race of Ouranos? And he will never stop until his heart is fully satisfied or someone else overthrows his power by trickery, hard as that may be, and rules instead.
Even though I am being tortured, bound in these strong chains, the day is coming when that ruler of those sacred beings will truly need me to reveal to him a new intrigue by which he will be stripped of all his honors and his scepter too. He will not charm that secret out of me with sweet, honeyed phrases of persuasion or his harsh threats. I will never surrender this secret from my lips, not until I am free from these shackles.
I have reached the distant lands of Scythia after my long journey. I feel a great deal of sympathy for you, and it seems as our kinship makes me feel this way. You have a great deal of my respect. How may I be of help to you?
What is this sight I see? A friend of Zeus who is here to help me?
I would like to offer you a piece of my advice. You must now adopt new habits, for Zeus in his high and mighty rule very well may hear your insults of abusive language and cause more of the suffering you complain of. These words I speak of may very well sound outdated and cliche. This is what you get, Prometheus, for having such a proud and boastful tongue.
I am so happy things turned out well for you, Aeschylus. You had the spirit to support my cause, although you escaped all blame. Whatever you may say to me will be in vain, for persuading Zeus will not be so easy.
Well, I judge by looking at the facts, not by listening to what others say. You should not deny someone so eager to help you. I am certain there is one thing Zeus will give me, your freedom from this awful, eternal suffering.
You have my thanks, and I will not forget. Spare yourself the trouble, as you will be useless and no help to me. I may be miserable, but my distress does not make me desire to see such pain imposed on everyone. Save yourself whatever way you deem fit, and I will bear whatever I must face until the rage inside Zeus's heart eases.
Surely you realize, Prometheus, works act as healers to a disordered mood.
Yes, but they may only do so if used at the appropriate time to soften one's heart.
What dangers occur by simply eagerness to act and courage?
Stupidity.
Your words are telling me to go home.
Yes.
As you can see in that last clip, Aeschylus does indeed feel sympathy for Prometheus and offers him advice, but Prometheus stays loyal to his plan and disregards all of it. He continues to bash Zeus's name with no fear in his mind of consequences for this. This could be because he feels that he has nothing else to lose. This is just one of many examples we will explore in this episode of the pure passion Prometheus has. The godfly has stung me. This pain I'm in is unbearable. What have I done to deserve this? Oh no, the pain continues. What is happening? Little does she know, her gift of a gadfly is from Zeus's wife Hera, who caught their affair, leading Zeus to try and hide Io by turning her into a heifer, causing Hera to ask for the cow as a gift, later sending the gadfly to nag her.
How could I not hear that young girl's voice, the child of Inachus, in a frantic state from the gadfly's sting, forced to roam never-ending paths and worn down by Hera's hate?
Why does a wretched sufferer scream my father's name and speak of my illness? Who are you now, and how in my distress you called to me, knowing who I am and naming my disease? How much longer will I be forced to bear this agony? Tell me if you know any remedy or medicines for this disease. Say something to a wretched, wandering young girl.
I will clarify all you wish to know, simply as our mouths should convey truths openly. Before you, the one who offered men the gift of fire, I am Prometheus, chained by the will of Zeus in Hephaestus' hands.
What act has led you, who has shown kindness to mortal beings, to this kind of punishment?
I have said enough. I will not tell you any more.
Can you at least inform me of how long I will have to bear the wretched state I'm in?
It is better that you don't know. I don't wish to break your spirit.
Do not conceal the fate I must withstand.
Since you insist, I am obliged to speak.
No,
Not yet. Let the girl explain to us what led her to her destructive fate, so we may be content with what she says. Well then, Io, it is up to you to grace them with this favor, and you will learn everything you desire.
I do not know how I could refuse you, although to talk about the brutal storms sent by the gods make me feel ashamed. During the night, visions were always strolling through my rooms, calling me with smooth, seductive words. You are a very fortunate young girl, so why remain a virgin all this time, when you could have the finest match of all? For Zeus, smitten by the shaft of passion, now burns for you and wishes to make love. My child, do not reject the bed of Zeus, but go to Lerna's fertile meadowlands, to your father's flocks and stalls of oxen, so Zeus's eyes can ease his fierce desire. These visions upset me every night until I was brave enough to tell my father. He sent messages to Delphi and Dodona to try and learn what he must do to please the gods, and he received a simple order which he must obey, to force me into exile. So now that I have shared my story, please inform me of the fate that awaits me.
You have obtained from me what you desire to learn. You will endure grievous wandering facing roaring seas, gusting winds, snake-haired winged gorgons, and a wintry sea of dreadful pain.
What reason do I have to go on living if this is what awaits me? I would prefer to die once and for all.
Then you would find it difficult to withstand the torments I face, which will not end until Zeus is toppled off his tyrant's throne.
But who will strip away his tyrant's scepter?
He will do that himself, with all those brainless purposes of his.
But how? If it does no harm, tell me.
He will get married, a match he will regret.
His wife will force him from his throne? Who will free you if Zeus does not consent?
She will, for she will bear a child whose power is greater than his father's, one of your grandchildren, so fate decrees.
What are you saying? Will a child of mine bring your afflictions to an end?
He will, when 13 generations have gone by.
Is there some way Zeus can avert this fate?
No, none at all, except through me, once I lose these chains. In your time wandering, you will reach the city of Canopus. There, Zeus will return you to your senses, and you will give birth to Epiphus, conceived by Zeus. 5 generations after Epiphus, 50 young girls will return to Argos to escape marriage with their cousins. The gods will not allow the men to race after them and enjoy their bodies. Each young bride will take her to her husband's life except for one. Bewitched by passion, she spared her husband and gave birth to a royal line in Argos.
My fearful heart is beating in my chest. This tongue of mine is now beyond control. Delirious words beat aimlessly against the surging flood of my inevitable destruction. Io asked Prometheus to reveal what her future looks like without holding back on any details. From her actions, Prometheus reveals that she will give birth to Epiphus, conceived by Zeus in the city of Canopus. Though Io was victim initially, once she learns she will birth the one who will overthrow Zeus, the mindset is eased. Zeus's abuse of power led many people, including Io, to be manipulated through this. Io creates a specific path to end of his controlling power. Well, it seems to me if I keep talking to you at great length, my words will all be wasted. My appeals do not improve your mood or calm you down. Like a young colt newly yoked, you bite the bit and use your strength to fight against the reins. But the resistance you display rests on a feeble scheme, for on its own mere stubbornness in those with foolish minds is less than useless. If these words of mine do not convince you, think about the storm, the triple wave of torment, which will fall and you cannot escape. First, Father Zeus will rip this mountain with thunderclaps and bolts of flaming lightning, burying your body in the rock. And yet, this cleft will hold you in its arms. When you have spent a long time underground, you will return into the light, and Zeus's winged hound, his ravenous eagle, will cruelly rip your mutilated body into shreds, and like an uninvited banqueter, will feast upon your liver all day long, until its chewing turns the organ black. Do not expect your suffering to end until some god appears who will take on your troubles and be willing to descend to the sunless Hades and the deep black pit of Tartarus. And so, you should think hard. What I have said is no fictitious boast, but plain and simple truth. For Zeus's mouth does not know how to utter something false. No, everything he says will be fulfilled. Look around you and reflect, and never think self-will is preferable to prudent thought.
To us it seems that what Hermes has said is not unreasonable. His orders tell you to set aside your stubbornness and seek out wise advice. Do what he says. It is dishonorable for someone wise to persevere in doing something wrong. Well, I already know about the news this fellow has announced with so much fuss. There is no shame in painful suffering inflicted by one enemy. There is no shame in painful suffering inflicted by one enemy on another. So let him hurl his twin forked lightning bolts down on my head, convulse the air with thunder and frantic gust of howling wind, and shake the earth with hurricanes until they shift the very roots of its foundations. Let him make the wildly surging sea waves mingle with pathways of the heavenly stars, then lift my body and fling it down to the black pitch of Tartarus, into the whirl of harsh necessity. Let him do all that. He cannot make me die.
Prayers like these, expressed the way he does, are what we hear from those who are quite mad. This prayer of his, how is that not delusion? When does it stop this senseless raving? Well, in any case, you are who sympathize with his afflictions should move off with all speed to somewhere else, in case the roaring force of Zeus's thunder affects your minds and drives you all insane.
You will have given me different advice and tried to urge me in some other way in order to convince me, for I believe your stream of words is unendurable. How can you order me to act so badly? I wish to share with him whatever pain fate has in store, for I have learned to hate those who betray of all the sickness that is most despicable to me.
As you wish, but remember what I said. Do not blame your luck when you are trapped in ruin's net, and never claim that Zeus flung you into the torments without warning. No, you can blame yourselves, for now you know by your own folly you will be caught up in ruin's web, not by a secret ruse or unexpectedly. And from that net there will be no escape.
And now things are being transformed from words to deeds. The earth is shuddering. The roaring thunder from beneath the sea is rumbling past me, while bolts of lightning flash their twisting fire, whirlwinds toss the dust, and blasting winds rush out to launch a war of howling storms, one against the other. The sky is now confounded with the sea. This turmoil is quite clearly aimed at me, and comes from Zeus to make me feel afraid. O sacred Mother Earth and heavenly sky, who rolls around the light that all things share, you must see these unjust wrongdoings I must endure.
Was this an act of selflessness or stupidity? Prometheus finds himself chained up to suffer for eternity after feeling pity for mortal beings and gifting them fire in opposition of Zeus's tyrannical rule. Completely helpless, some tell Prometheus he should just give in to Zeus, but he refuses. Having the gift of foresight, Prometheus knows he will face endless torments, but will not submit to Zeus and his harsh, cruel ways, sacrificing his own body with no clear end in sight. Throughout the story, Prometheus uses his foresight to tell how his offerings led to the end of Zeus's tyranny. Hephaestus is ordered to chain Prometheus to the mountains of Scythia because of his actions of giving humans fire and blind hope. Power and force help chain Prometheus. As this happens, the chorus comes to Prometheus and asks him to explain what led him to being chained. Yet, Prometheus had an advantage when it was revealed that he had the power of foresight. Through his foresight, Prometheus reveals how Zeus's actions will eventually lead to the end of his reign, including the vision of Zeus and Io's relationship, because Zeus had sexual desires towards Io and was forced to hide Io from Hera. He turns Io into a cow. Hera became jealous of Io once she figured out the truth and sent a gadfly to torment Io. It is revealed that a relative of Io will help lead to the falling of Zeus's reign. Then, Hermes comes to Prometheus to ridicule his behavior and challenge his ideas. Will Prometheus learn from his acts of defiance, which lead to his punishment, or continue and play with fate? Will Zeus let his guard down and free Prometheus in exchange for the secret? We all have so many questions, so stay tuned for next week's episode of Tragic News Network. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time.